Aloha. First off, I wanted to apologize for the leaf blower in the background. He might walk by. I already walked by and I had to stop the video once already, so I don't give a shit about it. It's going to be whatever. We're just going to do this. I wanted to make a quick video as a follow-up from the last video talking about the mind control algorithm of the Young Turks, and kind of expand that story from my own observations of the various layers of mind control that are involved in us not tapping into the deepest roots that we can tap into because of the distraction grid as a whole. The Young Turks, the whole thing is based upon selling you an idea of your reality. So just as they tell you you are a monkey, you come from monkeys from the evolution program from the Big Bang, the same way they can design an idea of human nature to you. So if you believe in their idea of human nature, then you will accept whatever side effects come from that idea of human nature. So they tell you that you are animalistic behavior, you're a carnivore, you eat meat, you act this way, you raise your family this way, your culture is about this, your genetic codes are about that. Excuse me. Everything that you understand yourself to be is prefabricated by the society as a whole, the government sponsored university public education system program, and that goes from generations to generations all the way into what you understand as logic or intellect or science. Not to mention the fact that one-sided science that is totally separate from spirit is going to be a mind control program. That is a magic spell. This is why you have the atheism program so fully ingrained into the university system as a whole. This is why you have the Bill Maher's that are in cahoots with the Neil deGrasse Tysons and the Michio Kakus and the Bill Nye's skirt around this spirit talk because they don't want to unveil the stories of the indigenous people. They don't want to unveil the stories of the colonial program as a whole. If that happens, then the power grid that holds them afloat will start to disassemble and disintegrate. And that will only happen if the people are privy to the information that allows that to be. And as long as the individuals and the collective as a whole are distracted by their own version of reality, what you call reality, from whether you really relate with the Young Turks or you are really relating with CNN or Fox News or MSNBC. This is why they've compartmentalized your idea. So just as like in the 90s, you had people who were really about CNN. Then you had people who were really about MSNBC or really about Fox News. That was how you were compartmentalized. Nowadays, you have individuals who are compartmentalized with social media and so-called alternative news. And then you have conspiracy theory. Then you have the people on the outskirts or in between all of that stuff. So it's all this very complicated separation program that stems from the initial separation program of you not even knowing your own damn history, your own understandings of who and what you are on a human level or even a cultural level. Not even under calling ourselves African American, calling ourselves Mexican American, and all these other labels that we place on ourselves to adjust to a program that is not our own. So this is what I wanted to address today, because this program that is not our own is actually the essence of the mind control program as a whole. So when the Young Turks individuals get up on that show and they tell you this is how you should think and this is just absurd, like that, I watched that one video that they were talking about chemtrails on there, and the guy John on the Young Turks is just like, well, this is just, we can't even entertain the idea that the government is a part of this program and all this other stuff, knowing all the stuff that's already out there with Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin, the 9/11, the IBM in World War II, all the shit that's involved, all the stuff, Kennedy's assassination, all of these stories have to be ignored in order for you to maintain a level of slave mind control. So I wanted to go through this artificial rabbit hole in a very quick video just to show people, because people already know this and I already pretty much expanded upon it in the last video, but I wanted to expand it even further because I know there are some other channels that people pay attention to, but really all those channels that I'm getting ready to address, I want to show how they're all connected and how they all exist inside a box. So basically the individuals, and I'm not even going to show any, they don't even have YouTube channels for local news stuff, but you can already understand what the local news mentality is. So these are like your grandparents or your old school parents who are still like thinking that's the news. They believe those local newscasters and all that stuff. That's basically just like the most obvious distraction that you could conceptualize as being somewhat engaged in this this societal reality, and that's just you can see it's all based upon destruction, death, kidnapping, arsons, murders, all that stuff. It's to keep you in that fear mentality so that you can give your power away to the political system as a whole, to whatever, to program yourself to have an entity tell you who and what you are, and then fill your space with the television show. So the Big Bang shows up on the next, after the news, and you watch Friends and Frasier and Seinfeld, and all those are very subtle programs that make you think a certain way. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all that other stuff, this is to create a level of consciousness, and a level of engagement, which is actually non-engagement. So you're not only not engaging in yourself, but you're not engaging in the system as a whole, which is designed to keep the entire collective down. So when you don't engage with yourself because you understand yourself as whatever ideas these individuals tell you about, then you will not expand your consciousness to your maximum potential on the inner spaces or even on the external spaces. So this is how you buy into the American dream and the public education system. It's a hopeless state of being. This is why Obama was talking about the whole HOPE program. Same thing goes with Bernie. They play with your emotions, build up your hope, bring you down, build you up, bring you down. This is what it is. You go from Bush to Clinton, from Bush to Obama, from Obama to Clinton, or Trump, which are both down. So it's up, down, up, down, up, down. The idea of upness and the obviousness of downness. So you can have a system to, it's an artificial frequency. So this is the shallow layer. This is not even getting into the rabbit hole. This is the distraction program. And in order to make individuals or frequencies like Trump even remotely credible in being a leader, they have to make a joke out of it. They have to continually tell you something. They have to hit it from every angle to make it look presidential, whatever that even means. So this is why they're playing the numbers right now, because they can't really get any essence out of an individual who is not containing any essence or character at all. He is basically a shell of a human at best. And they have to fill that emptiness with numbers. So this is why you are constantly bombarded with late night talk show hosts, comedians, regular news, conspiracy news, alternative news, whatever it is, you are bombarded by this, and the whole thing is to make you believe it at all. Period. That's it. So this is CNN. Fox News is probably worse. Everything is about Trump. Everything is about this garbage. So that's one level of consciousness. This is an example of the mainstream distraction program, which is not even in the rabbit hole yet. So the Young Turks plays like it's part of the rabbit hole, or that it's because it considers itself, it creates this artificial version of that by saying it's not part of the mainstream media, it's not part of this. These are the younger generations, the Bernie voters, the people who are not part of the political system. These are the individuals who they give you a place to sit in, a waiting room to sit in, as long as you wait in hope for the program to fix itself, and you don't engage. You just get pissed off about it, you just get emotional about it, you get into your reactionary space about it, and they tell you how to think. So like I said, you have individuals in the mainstream who think a certain way, then they go tell their friends, and that's what they talk about at work, or that's what they talk about this. And then you have people who are in the Young Turks, they get this information, and oh, well, I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to go to work and talk to my friends about this. And then they get into the outskirts of stuff like this chemtrail video that's coming up here, and they'll throw some random so-called facts out there and tell you this is about what it's about, but really just close the book on the whole thing. Say, well, that's just conspiracy. You can't but really believe that the government is conspiring to spray aluminum and barium, or oh, we've got these tests that say, well, this one guy, but that's not credible at all. This is, at the same time, they're amplifying the Trump program and the political system as a whole, the powerless grid as a whole. So this is the illusion of stepping out of the mainstream, but it's actually an expansion of the mainstream. So you have this, and then in order to make them more credible with the whole conspiracy theorist whatevers, they have them locking in with Alex Jones at the RNC and that whole program, and he's so extreme with his storylines all over the place, but he's locked into the political scene as well by being all about Trump and this whole Americana idea. This is like, take our country back, let's take it back from the globalists. The Young Turks were, let's take it back from the corporations. This is all the same shit with the illusion of it being different. So they tell you they're different because they have different colors, red and blue, and whatever it is, whatever they put themselves out there to be. And they play the extremes and the shallow. So Alex Jones is obviously the extreme, and then you have multiple layers of that space in there. Of softness, shallowness, and extremes with these different kinds of interviewers. And then you have the same thing on the Young Turks. But they stay on the shallow. The only extreme they go is to the the introduction of what Alex Jones stuff might talk about. All of this shit is still existing. They're all part of the mind control program. All of it is to make you think and act a certain way. And also believe in the system as a whole. Fight the power instead of empowering yourself. Alex Jones says all this stuff. Like it's not necessarily what they're saying. It's how they're saying it. So that how this stuff is presented, like it's empowering you. That's why they say info wars. It's like, oh, well, they're sharing information, so you're winning the war. So no, this is all a program. So this isn't obvious for most people, Alex Jones and everything in here. So these storylines, this is how they make everything not believable as a whole, by locking it in with characters and streams of thought that are just ridiculous. This is how they tie it in all together. And then the Young Turks will formalize that state of mind by, just pushing this stuff aside and categorizing it as whatever. This is a actual like a war tactic, a wartime tactic. So we have the Young Turks, we have the Alex Jones. That's obvious stuff of them. But I wanted to take it a step further because when I was looking on the Young Turks Instagram, I saw that they were friends, or at least following, the Lip TV. And the Lip TV is another alternative news source that is that is just one layer out. Just as you can see, like Vice, that's another setup program. When you watch any of the Vice documentaries or whatever, when they have them on television, they are all about it's another program. They're making you think a certain way. It's obvious. Same thing goes with how they're tying in this whole Bernie program and the Trump program. It's all about focus and energy and think this way, act this way, respond this way. So, but they go into, so I think what is it? Jesse Ventura's son, I don't know his name. He's actually a part of the Lip TV. And just like Oliver Stone, he's also part of, his son, Sean Stone, is also part of the Lip TV through Buzzsaw. And these are both channels who claim to be alternative news, but when you step out, zoom out, and see everything all at once, you can see that it doesn't matter what they're talking about, it's how they're saying it, and what they're also not saying. They're not going into the indigenous people, the most obvious shit that's out there, the reconnecting with nature and natural law, and uncovering the garbage that is covering up the stories that are obvious to everybody in reference to the natural human story. The natural human story in our history is being washed over and whitewashed by all of these alternative news sources in order to maintain a level of consciousness that will allow the collective to buy in to a bigger mainstream or mind control program or control grid into the new world agenda. And they're claiming to be separate, claiming to be new. This is what the whole new age is about. That's just the spiritual, the so-called spiritual side of what the new program will be about. So the main thing is that these individuals and these channels are based upon making you focus your energy on the so-called powers that be as if they are the powers that be and you have zero power. You are all about whatever it is that they tell you to be about. They're the ones making the moves, and it doesn't matter how they talk about it or whatever it is, whatever kind of perspective that they take, you walk away thinking that you're informed in some kind of way, but you're not. You're just buying into another layer, because the main thing is that you don't go into your true essence. You don't go into your maximum potential. You don't ask questions. There's a difference between being told what your history is about or told information and actually unveiling information from the inside out, from your actual knowingness, from your curiosity, from your imagination, from your actual research. Like when you want to know something about yourself and your people and the storyline that you observe as a whole, there's a difference between you researching that and you going into that space. And then also, but contrary to this style of information that gets bombarded to you on a regular basis. And this is what social media is about. Since the consciousness has been expanding in the individual space and the collective space, this is how the control grid as a whole has expanded itself in order to maintain control through illusion, through a distraction, through manipulating your focus as a whole, so you can focus more of your energy into this. As if, see, like back in the 90s or whatever, people weren't even really at all concerned with the state of affairs. If voting was not even a big deal as it is today, and all that other shit. You had people who voted, and you had people who just didn't give a shit, because it was just gonna be whatever it is, and we was just gonna get by. So, but now you can see with social media and alternative news sources and the mainstream news, and it's everywhere. It's all over the place, and you actually have to think about this stuff. But this is that whole. So this also installed the whole conspiracy talks, all this other stuff. But what I wanted to focus on is how you looking at any of these channels, the way you look at them, just like the way the information is shared to you, is different than the way you would understand this information if you were to research this stuff yourself. So the Lib TV is directly related to Jesse Ventura and that whole idea of conspiracy theory. So obviously he had the conspiracy theory television show, and look, of course, their friends, our friends, TYT, the Young Turks, right there first on the list. But if you go on the TYT's site, they don't have them as their friends. I don't believe. I'm pretty sure the last time I looked, it's not on there. TYT Networks and Friends. So nope, I don't think the Lipt is on there, because they get too out there in other kinds of talking points, and they're directly related to Buzzsaw and that whole thing. So yeah, TYT is on here. So you can see how they're all in cahoots, and you can see how shallow this shit is. So just like for people who are looking into flat earth stuff or whatever and seeing all this other information, you know who you can listen to and who you can who's full of shit. So like Vice and Vox and all that other shit, you can see that there. See, look, Bernie Sanders on here. Bernie again. And this is the Lib TV. Supposedly all this conspiracy stuff, Buzzsaw, all that other stuff. And I'll go into Buzzsaw in a second. So this is another shallow layer I wanted to get. Big Think. All these channels are all the same. This is the actual artificial rabbit hole. And the very fact that these storylines, every single article that they address, every single story that they address, is for distraction, is to keep you from looking into the depths of these storylines. I heard that Raven the other day out there. They are smart. It was out there making fun of the dogs that were stuck in the house. It was standing on top of the awning outside of the second floor window of an apartment, laughing, like taunting the dogs in there, and they were just barking, going back and forth. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Vice, RT is another one. See, back in, it was like 2011, I used to really think RT was alternative news as opposed to the mainstream. And then one day I actually saw a news article that was blasted over the internet, that was all in one moment at the same time. It was blasted through RT, through Fox News, through MSNBC. These are all connected. It's like a web. And they throw this web out there, and they suck people in to pay attention to this stuff. And then they have all these various layers of other types of channels and storylines that are supposedly different, but they're not. They're all the same. This is all a big ass movie to keep you from going down the rabbit hole of your soul, going into yourself. And just as easily as the Young Turks make you think a certain way, Viceland does the same thing. You can hear the manipulative side, the manipulative perspectives that come within the way these so-called documentaries or TV shows are set up on TV, and it's automatically already out there when you see that it's on the mainstream news as a whole. So you can understand this is all trickster magic. This is all to get you locked into paying your energy into this program, and then simultaneously believing that it's changing or that something is changing because you have more information. It's not true. It's actually expanding and enveloping you as a whole as you maintain that level of hopelessness and powerlessness by allowing other entities to create your reality for you instead of following your own reality from the inside out. They want to create your reality. The so-called they are designed. Their design is to create your reality from the outside in. If you start to look in from the inside out, you will start to trace these stories back, all the way back to the obviousness, from like the perspective of a child, to the land that you are on. This is not your land. We are not African Americans. You are not Mexican American. You are not. The United States is not America. The United States is a corporation. They utilize the idea of America to make itself bigger and to expand that whole idea of the colonial program across the consciousness to allow this stuff to seem big. And talking about stories like Colin Kaepernick and his stance against the flag and that whole thing, and then them creating this idea as if it's even questionable, like he's even allowed to do that shit or say anything in reference to he didn't do anything wrong at all. But since these people have put these stories out there in a way that gives them some kind of platform, same as Donald Trump. Nobody would be listening to Donald Trump if they didn't have to. You think you have to because it's on these channels, and this is what it's all about. These stories are out there to make it seem like you have to follow the way this train of thought. It's an artificial consciousness. It's an artificial internet. It's an artificial web of connection. The entire thing, never going into the pyramids of Giza, never going into the connections between the melanated peoples all over the earth plane, never going into the structure, the ancient structures that are an actual living proof that the evolution program is full of shit as they see it today, because the technology that we so worship today was already understood to the maximum depths by the ancient Egyptians. It was already shared with at Machu Picchu and all these ancient structures all over the world. That power, that essence that exists in your very genetic code, in your ancestors, in your entire consciousness, the organic consciousness. That is what this distraction is based upon, keeping you from unveiling. And we can, since we've compartmentalized ourselves and say, well, I'm a Bernie Sanders, or I'm a Trump, or I'm about Hillary, or I'm about CNN, or I'm about Young Turks, or I'm outside, I'm just about social media, or I'm only about my shit, or I'm only about, let's build this up. And that's an entire mindset. This entire story needs to be put together to be understood. So I already traced it back from the mainstream down to the Young Turks, from the local news to the mainstream, down to the Young Turks, to the Lip TV, and the next one is like Enter the Buzzsaw. So this guy, Sean Stone, used to be on the working directly related with Jesse Ventura's son on the Lip TV until he got his own thing called the Buzzsaw. And I actually contacted this show, and his producer emailed me back because he does interviews. And the producer emailed me back, said, I'm going to run it across Sean and see if this fits or whatever. Because he talks about some pretty out there storylines. But they never got back to me. And he even references stuff like the flat earth and other things that I normally, transhumanism and even the Mandela effect on this channel. But you can understand that these layers, it doesn't matter how far they go, it's about how they're presenting themselves. So you can talk about all this shit. You can talk about the Illuminati, the Bilderberg, the alien disclosure, the Masons, Freemasons, the Anunnaki. Like, you can see all this shit that he talks about. But it doesn't make any damn difference if it doesn't go to the depths of the empowered human individual and human collective. It's just a bunch of busy work. It's just a busy mind control program. And this is what this is what the entire system is based upon, hoping that individuals don't go any further than having these stories just be all over the place. Same thing goes for the radio stations, George Norrie and the Ancient Aliens. This is distraction. They just tell you a bunch of shit just to get you sucked in, and then the show is over. It makes it into a show. But if you take that essence, that information, and turn that into a power for the people, then that's when you are stepping out of the world of show business and you are stepping into disassembling the control grid as a whole. And that's what these channels are not willing to do, because they are a part of the program whether they know it or not. And most of these individuals and these channels know this shit. So they would just want to scare the shit out of you. They want to put all these stories out there to make it so overwhelming to you. Just like Alex Jones gets in your face and says, we're gonna take this country back. That's all to sell you some bullshit. That's like the so-called American way. And then on the other side, you have the English accent, the people who soften it up and tell you that, in order to understand and really get together, we have to unify under this idea of science and the university system and reconnect and understand what the Big Bang really is. Really connect with transhumanism and the evolution theory. Like, every single area is played against you. And as long as these are storytellers, they are putting you to sleep. This is how putting you to sleep within an artificial rabbit hole. And they will talk about this shit over and over and over and over again. All of these storylines, they'll play the stories against each other, on and on and on. And you'll feel like that you're really understanding something. You'll feel connected because you'll walk away with more information and more perspectives than you had before you even stepped into this one video or this channel or whatever it is. You'll walk away feeling some kind of way. But nothing in your life will ever change because of the way the shit was calibrated. It's like a coding. The way it's coded before you get the information. So it's coded from if the information is coded from a hopeless state of being, from an external power grid, then it doesn't matter how extreme the information is, you will walk away powerless. Because you might as well just it's fast food. That's what it is. It's fast food for your brain. And you can think that you're not eating fast food by going to Whole Foods, but Whole Foods is just basically Monsanto and that whole control grid, it's a deeper layer. It still exists within the fiat currency system and the maritime admiralty system. I mean, there's so many different layers that are existing here, and the way that the system stays afloat is by the ignorance of the people and the emotional and reactionary engagement of the people. So it's like a child being sucked into an argument, or a child that's being sucked into the cool crowd, or whatever it is. You're sucked into a distraction. That's the main thing that happens. You can talk about the Anunnaki, you can talk about timelines and blood and all this other stuff, and you can even mention the indigenous people. You can mention whatever you want, but if you ain't got no weight, if you don't have any actual essence, no power behind that shit, it doesn't make any fucking difference at all. Not one amount of difference. And if you have a huge following that's just following that empty space, just as you can understand a YouTube channel, these successful YouTube channel, YouTube sensations that spend, videos putting makeup on, or trying candy, tasting candy from all over the world, or just talking about some stupid ass relationship. That is a distraction. That is a total, you can see that as a mind control and as a distraction. And people just worshiping these false idols and these individuals who are just out there. They're put out there. They're amplified for you to think and act a certain way. And as long as you are not as long as you are not calibrating this information or connecting it to the roots that exist outside of the control grid, outside of the artificial rabbit hole, as long as you are not doing that, then you are not a threat. You are okay. You're just fine. Secret space program stuff, all this stuff, alien agenda, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. If you're just talking about it, what about it? Are you saying it from the perspective of empowering the people? Are you saying it from the perspective of, well, this stuff exists, and they're in power and they're doing this stuff? No. There's a power that overwhelmingly outweighs the illusion, overwhelmingly outweighs this artificial rabbit hole. There's a history that exists in the essence of our true nature, our true connections to the earth plane, to spirit, to each other, within our soul experience. There's a true essence there. And all these storylines, all these conspiracy theories, all this shit that exists outside of that, on top of those storylines, are designed to keep you in that shallow level of thought. And I just wanted to put that out there, because this was a good example of jumping off from the Young Turks video about how that's a mind control program, and then really just kind of expanding it and saying, well, it's not so much about the information, it's about how that information is coded. You can understand the Young Turks is coded with ego. They bully you from looking into storylines, like looking into chemtrails, with ego. Oh, well, that's just absurd. Do you really believe that the government's going to do something like that? Come on, guys. Like, that mind control, that's a mind control program. Same thing goes for Alex Jones. He wants you, instead of like keeping you from getting or looking into information like the Young Turks does, Alex Jones wants you to get engaged in his level of thought, his specific group, because he does the same thing as the Young Turks, just in another style. And both of them are about not talking about any kind of program or any kind of essence in the roots of the people, but giving the power back to the system. It doesn't matter what kind of storylines you share out there. Same thing goes for the Lip TV and Buzzsaw. Same shit. You can talk about 9/11. You can talk about all this stuff all you want. Who are the people that's saying it? What essence are they portraying in how they say it? Are they saying it from like an empowered perspective, or are they saying it just as a storyline? Is this just a fucking story, or does this exist in your compassionate heart? Are you empathically connected to where these stories originate and what happened to your people and other people and the land and the nature as a whole? Not going there. They're not going there. And it's easier to go there when you start looking into the flat earth stuff, and at least questioning NASA and questioning the university system. Whatever you believe in, what that does is it allows you to expand outside of the control grid as a whole and really see how far this deception program has gone. And once you do that, you will allow information in on a deeper layer inside of you, and you will also empower yourself to understand more of who and what you are and what your connection to yourself is, your culture, the collective as a whole, and the Most High as a whole. Once you start doing that, you can't be controlled. And this is what all these distractionary channels are based upon, keeping you from unveiling within yourself. So that's basically it. I just wanted to share that thought process and get that out there. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.